During this portion of your training, you will learn general information about your phone, as well as how to navigate between your corporate directory, your call log, and all of your forwarding options. To get started, we're going to talk about the general information you will need to know about your phone. The first thing is going to be your extension and line keys. You will notice that your extension is listed on the left-hand side 3 times, 1 time next to each line key, and that represents that you can have up to 3 incoming calls at one time on your phone. Beneath your line keys, you will also notice that you have 3 additional blank line keys, as well as on the right-hand side, 6 additional blank line keys. What these can become are speed dials for you. In order to set up those speed dials, what you will want to do is hold down an open line key so that when you hold it down, you will notice that an Add Contact page pops up. In order to add a contact, you will need to enter in the person's first name, last name, as well as contact number. To do this, you will use your keypad down below, choosing the letter and the number that correspond with each other. So if I were to enter in a coworker, Lindsay, I would choose the number 5 key and hit it 3 times in order to bring up the letter L, and so on. So as I enter in her name, to then scroll down to last name, I'm going to use my navigation arrows that you're going to have on the right-hand side of your phone. I'm going to scroll down using the down arrow to highlight last name, enter in a letter for her last name, and then a contact number. That contact number can be an extension of a coworker or a 10-digit number like an outside line such as a cell phone or maybe another home phone or business number. Once you enter in that number, you want to select the Save Soft key so that when you hit that Save Soft key, you're going to then see their name pop up on that line key, and now they act as a speed dial. So if I wanted to call my coworker Lindsay, all I would need to do is hit this line key, and I'm going to begin dialing out to my coworker Lindsay. The keys that you see down below are what we refer to as soft keys. We call them soft keys because they are constantly changing depending on what you are doing with the phone. For example, when you have an incoming call, you will notice that your first line key will begin flashing green, and then these line keys will change to say answer and reject. Let me give you an example. So when we have an incoming call, you will see, as I mentioned, that line key is now blinking and I have an answer and reject option. If I hit answer, it would put the call on speaker, and if I hit reject, it would put that caller straight into voicemail. You will also notice that you get to see the incoming caller's caller ID, so their name as well as their number. When you are ready to make an outbound call, please remember that you no longer need to use a 1, a 9, or an 8 to make an outbound call, and that is with local as well as long distance calls. So just get used to only dialing the area code and the rest of the digits that follow. Within your own organization, you can use extensions to dial to coworkers. You can also extension dial to coworkers if they are at other branches and are currently on our system. An easy way for you to make an outbound call on our phone is to keep your handset down and begin dialing the number. When you dial the number, what you will notice is that the soft keys change, and the first soft key that you have is going to be a backspace button, so that if you make a mistake, you can backspace that number out and then enter in the correct number. From here, you can select your dial soft key, and that will make that outbound call for you, putting it on speaker, or simply lift up your handset and that will make that outbound call as well. Now that we have covered some of the basics of the phone, I want to move into some of those soft keys and first talk about your corporate directory. When you select your corporate directory soft key, a page is going to pop up allowing you to search for individuals within your organization that are currently on our platform. You will notice that you have the ability to search by last name or first name. If you want to search for a coworker by their first name, you will need to use your navigation arrows to bring the cursor down to the first name option so that it is highlighted. For this example, I am going to do a first name search for my coworker Lindsay. To bring the cursor down, I hit my right navigation arrow to bring it and highlight first name. From here, to enter in my search criteria, I will use the keypad down below, finding the letter and the number that correspond. Once you have entered in your search criteria, you will again use your right navigation arrow to highlight search directory and then check it off. Once you have checked off search directory, it will bring up your search results. Within your search results, you will notice two columns, the name column bringing up the names that match your search criteria, as well as an action column. From the action column, you have the ability to do two things. The first is dial out to that individual automatically, or select their details, giving you all of the numbers that we have stored for that individual. Using your right navigation arrow will highlight dial, then you would just check it off, automatically dialing out to that individual. Or when you scroll over to highlight details and check that off, it will bring up all of the details of that individual. You will notice their direct number, so their 10-digit direct dial is listed. Their desk extension will also be listed, as well as their mobile number if that was provided to us. From here, you will also see that you have dial options for each of those numbers. All you would need to do is highlight the number you wish to call, check it off, and you will begin to dial out to that individual. So now, as you see, I am calling my coworker, Lindsay Hoagland. The next soft key that you will see on your phone is your call log. Your call log is where you will go to view all of your missed, received, and placed calls. When you have a missed call, you will see it here in the upper right-hand corner. To view your missed calls, select your call log soft key. Once selected, it will pop up all of your placed calls. In order to view your missed calls, you will need to first hit your type soft key in order to bring up a page that allows you to choose which viewing option you would like to have. You have all calls, missed calls, receive calls, and place calls. To view your missed calls, scroll up using your navigation arrows so that your missed calls is highlighted, and then you will want to check it off by hitting your select soft key. Once missed calls is highlighted and checked off, select your back soft key in order to bring you back to all of your missed calls. When viewing your missed calls, you will be able to see the caller's name, as well as their number and the time or the day that they called. From here, you can do a couple of things. You have a dial soft key to immediately call back to that individual, and you have an info soft key. An info soft key, when selected, will pop up an individual page for that caller. Once you've selected that info soft key and brought up this individual page for that caller, you can do a few things. You can select the edit or dial soft key to edit that individual's name or dial directly out to that person. You can select the save soft key, which would save that person into a personal directory, so it's completely separate from the corporate directory that we went over earlier. Or you can delete that individual. Rather than deleting your entire missed calls, you can just delete one person at a time. The third soft key on your phone brings you to all of your call forwarding options. With your forwarding options, you can choose between call forward always, call forward no answer, and call forward busy. What this allows you to do is forward all of your calls to a different number. With each forwarding option, it is important to note that wherever you have your calls forwarded to, that is where the caller will leave a voicemail. For example, if you turn on call forward always and have your calls forwarded to your cell phone, that is where the caller will leave their voicemail, on your cell phone. Let's walk through each forwarding option. The first selection you have is call forward always. Once you've selected your call forward always option, it will pop up a page asking you to put in a contact number. This contact number is where you will have all of your calls forwarded. You can either put in a 10-digit number or an extension. Once you have entered in a number, you will want to select your enable soft key. Once selected, it will bring you back to your main page, indicating where in the upper right-hand corner you are having your calls forwarded to. To disable your Call Forward Always option, you will want to select your forward soft key again, select your Always option, and then select your Disable soft key. Once selected, you will have now disabled your Call Forward Always option. The second forwarding option that you have is a Call Forward No Answer. The best way to think about this type of forwarding feature is like a Find Me, Follow Me, in that you can have your desk phone ring a few times before you have your calls forwarded on to another number. Once you have selected your Call Forward No Answer option, it will pop up a page asking you for two things. The first is the contact number. Again, it can be a 10-digit number or an extension. And the second is forward after rings. What forward after rings means is how many times do you want your phone to ring before you forward on your calls. Typically we say try and keep those rings between 1 and 3 because by default we do have your calls on the 4th ring go straight to voicemail. So what you would do is you would want to use your navigation arrows to scroll down and highlight forward after rings, select the number of rings you want to have your phone ring, then input your contact number. At this point, once everything has been entered in, you would select your Enable soft key, turning on your Call Forward No Answer. Your last call forwarding option is Call Forward Busy. What Call Forward Busy allows you to do is forward on second and third incoming calls while you're currently on the phone. Once you've selected Call Forward Busy, it will pop up a page asking you to input a contact number. The contact number can be an extension or a 10-digit number. Once you have entered in the number, you will want to select your Enable soft key. Once enabled, when you're currently speaking with someone on the phone, if you receive a second incoming call, that incoming call will go to this number that you have entered here.